Dumbasses of Reddit, what's the dumbest thing you've ever done? I once told a prisoner that if it was up to me, he'd never get out. I was in the prison helping run an education program. The guy had just told me something pretty horrific and I responded right from the heart. I instantly realized that the guy was in there for assault with a deadly, had 50 pounds on me and gold teeth. And I was within arm's reach for him, while the guards were out in the hall, way too far away to be able to do anything before he could hurt or kill me. He just stared at me for the longest second of my life, then laughed and clapped me on the shoulder. He had you and you both knew it and he let you go. Started dating a woman that was way out of my league in the looks department. Got her pregnant and married her, but turns out she was a terrible person. When I was a kid my dad told me not to mess with his staple gun. I then immediately stapled my finger. Ever tried to stick a jar up your ass? I didn't, but someone famous did. Oh boy. It's hard to pick just one thing. So a group of friends and I were trying to find somewhere to drink. None of us can drink legally. We climbed the fence behind our school and started drinking on the basketball court, because the school building hid us from view of the street. A short while later we heard cars pull into the school parking lot, and of course it turned out to be 2 police cars. We all started running and tried to quickly climb back over the fence. At the top, I lost my footing and slipped, somehow catching the back of my sweatshirt, the back of my bra, and my hood, all at once, on the top of one of those rounded poles you see at the top of school chain link fences. I was stuck in a position that made it so I couldn't reach back and grab the fence well enough to lift myself off the pole. So I just sort of hung there kicking uselessly, half strangled while all of my friends escaped. Probably the dumbest I've ever felt. The officers walked over, found me, laughed for a minute, then helped pull me down. They then explained that we were drinking directly under a video camera that had a feed right to the police station, and then laughed some more. Luckily they just made me throw away all of the trash before driving me home. I left the shower running for 9 hours. DUI. Oh boy lol, a few years ago I was talking to this girl I had a crush on and I had asked her if she had any music artist recommendations. She told me what her favorite band was and my dumbass listened to it and told her I didn't like it. I once rolled up to a stop at a 4-way at night in a resi neighborhood and after a couple seconds the wife says, "What are you doing?" I then look around the intersection, one we often drive by, and say to her with a dumb look on my face waiting for the light to change, and drive ahead. There was no light. Have you ever asked yourself how sharp can you make your peanuts? Grill. Notice me. Senpai. Me. Does not notice. My mum would always let me go after the ice cream truck by myself if it was on the next street over. One day I was too lazy to walk back home, so after the driver was done with orders and went to go drive again I stayed behind and sat on his step to the window. When he passed my house I jumped off. Yes, the truck was still moving. Your mum. Let someone 360 squick-scope a can off my head in real life. So I have a friend of mine that I seen in the hallway at school. This was during lockdown, so I was excited to see him again. He walked past me and I kept yelling his name, but he couldn't hear me. Been friends with this kid for 4 years and forgot for a moment that he's hard of hearing and wondered why he couldn't hear me. I still haven't told him what I did. I was so ashamed of myself for being that dumb. Once tried to catapult a sharp small metal box by jumping on one end of a skateboard. It flew directly into my left eyebrow and I had to get sticks. Exist. I walked into a women's restroom at a Walmart and still didn't notice until after I took a piss. A woman had confronted me as soon as I got out. Told her it was a mistake and she walked away. Nothing happened after that. So, I'm not exactly sure how AC power works, but our washing machine, at one point, wasn't exactly grounded. And the interior, the metal spinny thing, if you touched it you could feel the electricity wasn't like painful, just sparkly. And I had the world's best idea to touch the metal faucet close by to test whether I would get shocked. Yeah, I'm glad I didn't get cardiac arrest or summit. I literally shook in place and then was like, I guess I'll never do this again. Thanks me. Slammed my thumb in a truck door. Don't ask me how I managed to do that. I one time tried to paint my entire street by smashing a ton of old paintballs on the ground. Every single one of my neighbors complained to my parents and I sat out there for hours literally mopping the fricking road. I still look back and think this is some of the dumbest shit I will ever do, and respect my parents for making me go clean it up. Was probably 11-13 at the time. I have injured myself with a calculator. My son is a math genius. When he was 8 years old he comes to me and says, Dad, I just read that bitcoins were released and you used to be able to buy them for 25 cents, but now they're worth $1. Yes, but I don't trust bitcoins. They're a kind of scheme. No dad, I have $500 from grandma. If I bought 2,000 bitcoins at 25 cents then I could sell them for $2,000 today. Oh sweetie, let's check this out. And the little guy had written it all out on paper that had he put his $500 from his grandmother into bitcoins at 25 cents that he'd have $2,000. My wife and I talked to him about it at dinner, but none of us know how bitcoins work except my son who wants me to set up an account to buy 500 bitcoins. He's 8 in the 3rd grade. Just go check on whatever the damn things go for today and do the math that my 8 years old wanted to buy 500 when they were $1. Frick, there's so many dumb things I've done I can't even choose. Posted here. What? I poked my finger with a red hot piece of welding wire once. I wasn't even punished for my dumbassery since the nerves immediately burned to a crisp. Didn't feel a thing, but the smell was gnarly. Joining Reddit. Downloading Reddit. Wha? I asked what that time I got reincarnated as a slime was about. Let me just tell you, it's about a person who gets reincarnated as a slime. Continue to exist knowing the decisions and mistakes they'll just make again. So, I downloaded Reddit. I wired a Lego motor to the mains with a couple of old bits of solder I found in the garage. I was about 9 at the time. I was sensible enough to poke the solder into the socket with something wooden. Then it went really fast for about a second and, pop. Skip a rock on grass and break a window. Not joking. It skipped 3 times on the grass and hit rocks which made it bounce up and break a window. I was 20-40 feet away from the window. I saw a stack of tires stacked one on top of another. It was taller than me. Then my ape brain decided it was the perfect thing to dive headfirst into. I was stuck and panicked for a solid 15 minutes. Standing on a skateboard feels kinda wobbly if it's your first time, right? I came up with a clever workaround here. What if the board was standing still and I just got a running start, jumped on, and then sailed away like Johnny Motorcycle? Certified badass. Anyways, I got one foot on the board before kicking it out from under me and doing a half gainer onto the, mercifully soft, wooden floor of the school auditorium. Freaking headache for the rest of the day, but luckily Jackass was blowing up at my middle school and everyone just assumed I forgot to tell them I was Johnny Knoxville before shredding. I tried to kill myself because of my brother, and I hung myself on a belt. It's good that the plaque came off and the belt fell. I was 13 and decided it would be fun to slide down a wood railing. An embarrassing ER visit, and 6 stitches later, I have a nice scar on my left ass cheek. I cried for a girl who didn't deserve it. Grew up with sharp objects. Can wield power tools and saws. Know how to whittle, etc. Know that you have to pay attention to where the sharp thing will go when it slips. Dumbass self at 1 AM tried to pop a brownie out of the corner of the pan. With a knife. Because grabbing a spoon would have made too much sense. Promptly jam knife right through brownie and into non-dominant hand that's holding onto the pan through that meaty area between your thumb and pointer finger. Sank it all the way to my middle finger. 0 out of 10 do not recommend. Rode a bike down the stairs at the age of 6. Played basketball in flip-flops. Broke my ankle. Labeling someone as a dumbass for doing something I thought was dumb. Broke a window trying to kill a mosquito. Worst part was I missed and more came in. One time I joined Reddit. Breaking up with my girlfriend back in 7th grade and then regretting it instantly. Bumper skiing at 80 km/h behind a 4Runner. I once ounched a tree full force and missed slightly and dislocated my knuckle. Turned on the cold water when I meant to turn on the hot water, then proceeded to wait 5 minutes wondering why the water wasn't getting hot. When I was young, I left the house keys in the door. I lowered the electric window shades and while they were lowering exited beneath them, locking everyone out of the house. Freaking left my ex broke. I occasionally slow down at green lights, as if preparing to stop at a red light. I haven't the faintest freaking idea why, but it's happened enough to bother me. 6-year-old me thought it would be an amazing idea to jump down a flight of stairs. Putting my actual name, instead of the cardholder name on online order. Edgy teenage me wanted to be a writer, so I wrote some edgy aphorisms and submitted them to an aphorism website with my real name. They published them, which I thought was cool at the time. Some hooker decided she liked one of them and put it on her website, quoting me with my full name. Thanks for giving me credit. For the last 15 years if you Google my name, one of the first things you find is the website of a hooker, quoting some edgy line I wrote.